So I'm here with Eugene,
Yes.
and I think I met you when I was in high school.
Hmm.
About
What high school did you go to?
I went to Berkeley High
Okay.
for a while. I
Okay.
went to Redwood High
Uh-huh.
School in Marin, and then I
Uh-huh.
went to Berkeley High. But I knew about your band,
Okay. So you're an
and
East Bay guy. Okay.
yeah,
All right.
pretty much.
Uh-huh.
Um, I went to freshman year in Marin,
Okay.
and then sophomore year was East Bay.
Okay. Okay.
So I knew of your band Whipping Boy.
Yes,
Is that right?
that's correct.
And you guys played at the Eastern Front, if I'm remembering right,
I
or
don't think so.
no, you played some shows.
We played some Wes Robinson shows, and Eastern Front was Wes Robinson.
Yeah.
But I don't remember specifically playing Eastern Front.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. My memory from back then is pretty dicey.
I remember wanting to play Eastern Front and getting a talking to by Wes Robinson about the quality of our drummer.
Okay. So your drummer wasn't up to
Yeah,
snuff.
he thought. Well, that's what he said. He thought. I said Dave sounded fine to me. So whatever.
Yeah. Well, he was your drummer. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He was drummer number 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
What? So how did you? What was your start of like? Let's say from punk rock or anything that shaped you before that, before you were exposed to the type of music that you got into. That was your original inspiration.
It was probably emotional.
Yeah.
All right. Like, I mean, I grew up in New York, and I grew up listening to R&B and pop. Right.
Okay.
Back when radio, and I don't even want to say semi-adventurous, it just happened to be like you could turn on the radio and you hear the Rolling Stones, the Doors, Jimi Hendrix, James Brown, and this was all on the same radio station in the car. And so that was me relating to music as a consumer item, like stuff you listen to when I could first make a little bit of money from allowance, go out and buying my first record, which was Psychedelic Shack by the Temptations.
Nice.
But then I'm a word guy. I started reading early, and I think the lyrics to R&B stopped resonating with me around the age of 12
Okay.
or 13, which also coincidentally is matched up with probably the second and third time that people tried to murder me. So clearly there was a dissonance where my sense of reality outside of my head was very different from inside of my head. And I think, I was seeking answers with music. And I think, the 13-year-old thinking, Kiss was the first band that, because it was supposed to be allied with Satan. And I asked anybody, my friends on the block and, Flatbush, I was like, hey, did you heard this Kiss? Because I got the record. So I listened to Destroyer and was like, this was actually all right. And then my stepfather brought home Eddie and the Hot Rods, Teenage Depression, as a joke. He used to work for the New York Post before Murdoch bought it. And so it was a review copy. And he just thought it was funny because it had a kid on the cover with a gun on his head. So I started listening to what would healthily be called punk rock in 77.
Okay.
And this was, I'd already listened at this point to Kiss, Deep Purple. I remember I listened to Deep Purple. And then, rock radio when I was like 14, 15. And now, like, we're getting closer and closer than the Eddie and the Hot Rods record came. And simultaneous to that, the Ramones were at the Lower East Side. And then at the age of 14, I went to school in Lower Manhattan so I could get to the Bowery. So I started going to shows. A girl who I liked in high school, her sister was like an older sister. And she said, well, let's go. We're going to go see Joey Ramone's brothers band, the Rattlers, and that was like, this was a cool scene. I really liked CBGBs, and nobody bothered me, so that was the start.
So this is 1977.
Yeah, I
Wow.
was 15 years old.
Oh shoot.
I was born in 1962.
62.
62.
Nice. So to back up a second, people tried to murder you. This is like you're a kid on the street and
I was actually, the first time they tried to murder me, I was a kid in the nice suburb of New Rochelle, also known as Westchester, up above the Bronx.
And it was just like some kids messing around,
no,
trying to beat the crap out of you.
They were friends of mine, which was especially disturbing. I mean, I write about it in the memoir.
You have a book out?
It's called A Walk Across Dirty Water and Straight into Murderer's Row.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Feral House. And it comes from a series that I had done for Ozzy, this disgraced digital news magazine I used to write for, where I did a whole series of the first time they tried to kill me, the second time, the third. I think we had to cap it out at the fourth time because it was
Right.
getting ridiculous. But there were probably about those many times, and they took me to a deserted field and beat me up and dropped me to my knees and said, you what are we gonna? I said, what are you doing? It's we're gonna kill you. And but first you got to pray. You pray, and I didn't pray. I didn't like it. I was not afraid at the time. It wasn't bravado. I was 5 years old. I was angry.
5 years
I was
old.
5 years old.
So what?
And they had pitchforks and
What was
shovels.
the motivation? What was?
As an adult now, I think that they were probably abused by, the house was always full. I mean, it was a great house to play, like, if you were a kid. There was big refrigerator boxes in the backyard, but now I realize it was kind of ramshackle. I loved it. It was a great.
So they were in this huge dysfunctional family.
Yeah, some uncle probably had, we used to hang out in their porch, and when the muscle cars would drive by, the uncles would scream, "Burn rubber," and the guys would do, burn rubber, and it was unrestrained and kind of wild and edgy for me at 5. I remember being very excited about it, but I didn't like, being beaten up and facing guys with pitchforks and shovels who were going to murder me. That was not part of the program.
Not a great.
It's funny. It's funny, like prison. I never dawned on me to tell any adult about this. They were like, "Are you going to go over to Ronnie's house today?" I go, "No, just stop going to Ronnie's house."
Yeah. Not a plan for living.
Right. So the music at that point, I think the music needed to reflect what, I don't say turmoil. I don't want to use that word.
But you had this darkness.
Yeah.
Fighting for your life.
Yeah. A dissonance thing. Yeah. So the music sort of filled in nicely.
By these hurt people who were hurting.
Yeah.
People.
I've forgiven those guys. There's some guys who fucked with me, who I write about in the book, who I've not forgiven, and I've actually kept track of since how old was I when these guys? Since 1973, I've kept track of this guy.
So you have a short list.
I got a short list, a short retail list, but
I'm not on that list.
No, you're not on.
Okay, great.
List. You're not on that
That's
list.
great.
Yeah.
I like that. I don't want to be on.
Of course, if you were on the list, I wouldn't tell you.
I don't want to be on the list. That, and I still might be on the list.
Right. No,
and that's okay. I don't.
No.
I'm pretty sure I'm not. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. So that's the origin story for the music.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I did a radio show in London and they asked me to play music from the memoir. So if I talk about a musical period in the memoir, which I do a lot, then play music. And so for the first time in a long time, I heard the Eddie and the Hot Rod stuff. And it was just so from my ears. And now, after doing this since forever, it just sounds so tame to me. But it was really wild when I first listened to it,
So you were in New York.
I was.
And you were going to shows.
Yes.
And listening to
CB's
music.
and Max's, Kansas City. I saw the Plasmatics at some leather bar over on down in the meatpacking district, which was a scary place to be if you were fucking 16.
And you got there somehow, and
subway, found got the address. But I was a pretty kid, and when I was 16, I probably looked like I was 12. So it was.
Didn't we all?
Yeah, it was kind of a scary place to be. But.
So tell me what your experience of seeing the Plasmatics was.
I hadn't started to think that this was something I could do or would do, but I realized I was in a special place. And if you're a memory of the latter day of Plasmatics as latter day Plasmatics, when they were become spectacle, car jumping and all that kind of crap, you got to know that they were. The only other performer I've seen on stage with a shotgun has been Gibby in the Butthole Surfers, and there was always an edge of comedy to the Butthole Surfers, starting with the name. But there was no comedy when Wendy Williams started wielding that shotgun, and I thought, oh, it's a prop gun at first, until I could feel the buckshot. Right. It was completely out of control. So
she would have a shotgun on stage and shoot it.
And these guys were all accessible. Richie Stotts, the guitar player, lived in the same building with one of the guys that we used to hang out with, who most people know as Adam Horowitz, from the Beastie Boys.
Okay.
So down in the Village, he lived there, and Jean Beauvoir, the black eyed bass player, I think he also had lived there for a period of time. So they were super accessible. You'd see them around. So,
yeah.
Yeah, very. I was impressed. Still impressed.
I remember I got that.
She was one of the hardest core fucking bitches around. O. Williams was great.
I wish I had seen that. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, really phenomenal. Yeah.
I got their record, and it was like above and beyond anything that
Yeah.
I could only imagine.
I tried to at one point I was talking to Biafra about it, and he's like, yeah, well, they use the Klan symbol on their records, and I was like, oh, I can't even talk to this guy.
You sound just like him.
Yeah, I've heard it. If you spend any time around him, you've heard a lot of him. So, you know.
Yeah, well, he does talk.
He talks a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. So what? Plasmatics. That's awesome. I mean, that's an experience, and like my age and your age or our age, you know, we are so fortunate to have seen a million bands.
Yeah.
And people even 10 years younger than us wish they had been around.
Well, even too, because if you think about the division between punk rock and hardcore, there was a lot of stuff that the hardcore kids would never even, like, you know, I don't know too many hardcore kids who were into Stiv Bators and the Dead Boys, and I saw them and loved them. You know, Johnny Thunders, I saw a couple times solo shows, and him with Walter Lure, and, you know, New York Dolls, bands at Max's Kansas City.
Yeah.
Early James Chance, a whole no wave thing. There was a lot of cool stuff that the later hardcore kids would not have been into at all.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, they missed it. I mean, some of them.
It's fine. You know, it was a reinvigoration of the music that I saw as being a continuation of what came in '77. So I welcomed that suddenly there were people sort of my own age, and I felt sort of sad for the older generation who were just aggressive, to make up a word, aggressive out of the scene. No.
So some of those guys who are doing hardcore now, they were around then, like Harley and
Harley. I saw Harley play with the Stimulators. I must have been 16, which means that he was 12 drumming, right. And I was like, man, I'm wasting my life. Look at this fucking kid. And he remembers me from back then. He says, because it was anomalous that anybody who was into that music would have actually been fit. So he was like, no, this is fit, because, you know, I'm lifelong martial artist and weightlifting exercise guy. So, so Harley was there. Stephen Ielpi from False Prophets was there. He was a guy. Jack Rabbit was there. There were a few people who made the divide from punk rock over to hardcore, but not many. It's Vinny Stigma.
Yeah.
Vinny Stigma was there for sure. So,
yeah. And so you came to California
to go to school.
Yeah. What happened with that? What school did you move to California to go to?
Stanford.
Okay, so you were just going to college.
Yeah.
So you did how did you, okay, this kind of blows my mind, because how does a punk rocker graduate high school and go to college?
Well, you know, if you start with the fact that maybe at a certain point you didn't want to be at home. And I was like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
How could I get out? Let me look in the newspaper and see. I said, man, a monthly rent on an apartment is $200 a month. How do I come up with $200 every month?
Right.
You know, well, I knew being in high school, I had some time to think about it. And all I had to do was put up with a little bit of personal agita, right? So college was sort of a variation of that. I mean, I got a little help paying for the first year. My mother was going through a divorce with her second husband. They're like, we can't pay. And so I went into financial aid and said, I went into the building and said, I need to drop out. I got to go, go back to Brooklyn. And they go, oh, tell us what the problem is. And I said, well, we don't have any money left. So they said, look, if a school figures out a way for you to go, they'll also figure out a way for you to pay. And this very wonderful woman, Rita Scorin, worked on this program for me so that I could do it through loans. And I already had a couple of grants coming in for being a smart guy. Mm-hmm. So that's how I managed not to go back to Brooklyn. So, but it was a drag, man. It was the beginning of the Reagan Revolution, and for me to show up in California, I didn't even come to visit before I came. Mm-hmm. They did a presentation and got me out of a calculus class, and the presentation was, we got trees, palm trees. We're half an hour from the beach, half an hour from a major city. There you go. And that was it.
I mean, nobody just gets into Stanford. You have to be at a certain level academically.
Well, I went to a specialized high school in New York that was like, like Brian Green was my wrestling team captain, the string theory guy. you know, he got a perfect score on the SAT. He was full of a lot of really bright kids, so I had that leg up. You know, already had like a Times Mirror, had one of their scholarships to go. So, but I wasn't prepared socially for California.
Right.
Hardcore saved my life, actually. Because I just couldn't hang with the luau's and the young Republicans and all that shtick. I was not
Right.
down with it. Running into people who had never met people who didn't believe in God or who were communist or whose worldview.
People who didn't believe in God.
Yeah, this woman I know, Lisa. She was like, I've never met anybody who didn't believe in God.
I mean, I'm kidding. A lot of people don't believe in God, but
no, but she was shocked, and then her father was an academic at like a university in Evanston, Illinois. How do you not meet people who were left of center?
So that was an eye opener for you.
A little bit.
It wasn't something you were used to.
No. I went to a really progressive high school.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a shocker. But like I said, hardcore saved my life.
So, hardcore saved your life, but do you believe in God?
I'm agnostic at this point.
Yeah.
Healthily so. I mean, I just can't.
I don't want to skip forward to the politics part.
No, whatever.
Because it seems like we're still on the punk rock part.
We can talk about anything at any time.
Yeah.
Dharma gates are endless. So, no, I mean, I don't know nearly enough to be able to pass any guess. You have feelings, but feelings are not enough to build a religion on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It seems like people are looking for something. There's this human nature to want to be constantly looking for a
yeah, and it's understandable
for a thing.
Yeah, there's got to be something, but I don't know.
Organized religion.
People start talking to me about it. I start to feel like they're talking to me about Star Trek or Star Wars, just something that I have very.
That's an organized religion, right?
It is apparently. If you go to Comic-Con, yeah.
Yeah. That's right. So when you got to California, how long did it take you to begin getting involved with music?
Immediately, almost immediately. Before Fall Quarter was out, was in a group called Al and the X's. I was playing sax, so it was like no wave stuff. And we're like, yeah, we should play some shows. Okay. Oh, maybe we should work with a booking agent. I go, fuck that. We're just gonna show up and play where we feel like it. So we did like 6 shows. Just walked in. Because I discovered this amazing truism that when a black guy walks into a place with a saxophone, people think something good is going to happen.
So that's like 1978?
It was 1980.
1980. Yeah, so you're way ahead of the curve.
Yeah, man.
Like no wave in 1980.
Yeah. Well, I would say behind the curve because I've already seen Lydia Lunch and Teenage Jesus and the Jerks and James Chance.
In New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, but California is behind New York and then
Albert Eiler and all that stuff. So the Decoding Society, phenomenal music that you had access to like that. So,
yeah. Joanna Went. There was crazy stuff going on in New York.
I remember Joanna Went.
Just the level of the arty level.
Right.
The arty levels were high.
Right.
So what were some of the bands that you saw? Well, to maybe back up or talk about your California experience, what was like some of the best punk shows that you saw? Some of the things like you described, like that Plasmatics show. You were glad to be there. You were lucky to be there.
Fear was phenomenal.
Where did you see Fear?
California Hall. It was one of my first big California show. There's probably 2,000 people there. A lot of people came up from LA.
I think I was there.
Yeah, Circle Jerks, Fear, and one other band. And then, of course, Bad Brains. But I saw Bad Brains in New York, so it was... You
had seen them.
Yeah.
They were phenomenal.
Actually, yeah. I mean, all the stuff in Texas that happened later was always... I mean, the guys who led this, the really bright stars of it, have really worked aggressively to tarnish their legacy. And I'm talking about all those guys, Black Flag. But it doesn't change the fact that they were just incandescent, just wonderful band. So Bad Brains, Black Flag with Dez singing was a high point for me. I saw them at studio what used to be called Fillmore East. I can't remember the name of it now. Saw them there. That was
the Old Waldorf, I think.
Yeah, man. I want to not. Club 57 was a very I can't remember. It's all kind of a blur. Gang of Four.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that was really. I had tickets to see Joy Division. Of course, that didn't never happen.
Right.
It never made it to New York. So, um, James Chance.
I was supposed to see the Germs.
Yeah, I really fucking sad about missing them.
I was supposed to
Yeah.
see them at the theater on 16th Street. They were booked.
Yep.
They were
Yep.
booked to play that
Yep.
show, and I was going to go. You know, I was
Uh-huh.
going to show up early and
Uh-huh.
get in,
Uh-huh.
and got just canceled. And then within a month or two, Darby had died.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was sad to me. But
Really influential band for me.
super, super influential. I mean, and that's largely probably responsible for Oxbow as well, because hearing him is one thing, but when you see the lyrics were so phenomenal that I was like, it opened my eyes to kind of lyrical possibility. And so I started writing lyrics that I just didn't think made sense to do in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 format. Right. So
Right.
that accounts for Muru Muru, the latter changes, and then ultimately resolves itself in Oxbow, where I could write real lyrics.
Oxbow being your second.
Yes. Or third, if you count Al and the X's. Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of them.
Yeah. With 6 shows, you wouldn't have. No record,
right.
6 shows, no demo tape.
Right. I was in a couple of bands like that.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
So you had Whipping Boy in out of the South Bay.
Yep.
That was your band in
Stanford,
college.
Peninsula. Yeah.
And that was, you guys played a lot of shows. Did you tour?
We did. Did Minor Threat's last tour. And I mean, both the tours we did were national with the original version of the band. And then we did 2 or 3 like that. And then with the latter version of the band, our last big tour as a 5-piece was with DC3.
Wow.
Descadena's band. So, yeah, Whipping Boy did 3 or 4 tours.
That's cool.
Yeah. So,
was that fun at the time?
Yeah, they interviewed Rollins recently, and he was saying, they asked him if he missed music, and he was, yeah, but then I think about getting in the van, and I don't miss getting in the van, and I was like, maybe that's the deal. Like, I don't dislike getting in the van.
Yeah, maybe he just needs a nicer van.
Yeah, I think at this point he's got enough money to get. He probably had a bus right before he stopped, but music for him is a very singular kind of experience. For me, it's a very universal one. So, who knows? And he's also making money doing other things.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know him.
Yeah.
I haven't hung out with them. I've seen him perform a few times.
Yeah.
I've seen it seems like when you talk about Black Flag, like everybody's got a strong opinion about this drummer or that singer.
Yeah.
I loved Robo. He was
great.
amazing.
I mean, you can't really take Black Flag seriously after Slip It In, and maybe some people would say before Slip It In, But after that, it just whatever. I did listen to that record that they call What the last one that everybody made fun of because of a terrible cover, and that was not a bad record. But it was just out of time, just out of time.
Yeah.
So, and those guys who we all thought were maybe acting like they were crazy were actually really crazy. Like Greg, I love Greg Ginn, but he's actually, I think, probably out of his mind. So,
yeah, there are.
He's not acting like he's out of his mind. He's actually out of his mind.
Well, they're older than us.
Yeah.
And you know what happens to old guys?
But
they can just kind of go off.
Like my favorite Beatle was Dukowski, and I realized about him. I said, I think Chuck's crazy. But I still love them, I still love them. So, anyway.
So what after Whipping Boy, Oxbow was a band that had a whole different personality, right?
Yeah.
I want to tell you, I was wearing your T-shirt.
Which one?
The metal one.
Oh, nice.
The new one.
Okay.
And I like to wear it when I perform.
Yep.
And I was at a show at a large venue in Bellingham. And we were supporting 90 Day Wuss.
Okay.
90-pound Wuss. And the sound guy at a point just pulled me over and he was like, "Is that an Oxbow shirt?" And I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "I got to tell you, that's one of my favorite bands." And he's like, I love Oxbow. I
Uh,
love everything. I
yeah,
have all their records. I just it's like, and I realized at that point, like I had felt like I knew you because
right.
we have friends in common.
Yep,
I'd
yep,
seen your band
yep,
so long ago,
yep,
um, but I didn't really know
yep.
all about. Even though I was
The
wearing
whole
your shirt,
discography. Yeah, well, it
yeah,
happens. Yeah, it happens.
yeah. I mean, I
Yeah,
like a shirt. I buy
yeah,
a
yeah,
shirt. I
yeah,
want to
yeah.
support
Yeah,
somebody
right,
I
right,
came up with,
right, right.
or
That's funny.
buy
Yeah,
a
yeah,
shirt.
yeah, yeah,
But I knew your music was good because I know a lot of people with good taste in
yeah,
music
yeah,
love your music,
yeah, yeah,
and I had listened to some, but I wasn't super familiar.
yeah.
So it made me think, I mean, I see that you have like a pocket, like uh, you have like a big audience out
Well,
there.
yeah, we do, but it's also funny. There's been a divide that you're kind of hinting at that, like, all the guys I knew from the hardcore scene knew about Oxbow, but they were just like, "And that's just Eugene's crazy thing." And like one Booby, who used to drum for Anti Warfare in New York, it took him like 16 years to come see us play. And he was when he moved to San Francisco, he was friends with the guys in Primus, and so he knew about different types of music. He was just like, that's Eugene's thing. And finally, he can't. We played some big show, maybe with Neurosis, and he said, "Okay, I'll go see it play." And he was like, "You guys are great. I don't know why." I was like, "Yeah, man.
Where you
Where
been?
you been? It took you 16. You've been living here 16 years. We played so much, you've never seen us." He's like, "Well, you know." Um, a lot of it just didn't translate. And I remember having that feeling when I look always on the hunt for record labels, contacted Mike from, or no, who was the guy from Fat Records, Tony, and said, "Hey, could you put out the new Oxbow record?" And he was like, it's not punk enough for us. So I'm like, "Are you crazy? This is like the most punk record ever." But then I understood at that point punk had become genre, and so he was talking about like Blink 180,
Punk
whatever,
had
but yeah, a
become
shtick, so.
well, it's become jock driven,
Yeah, I don't
brocore.
know. Warped. I could just say, let's say warped tour stuff. That's what he
Yeah,
wanted.
look at that
Yeah,
label's
yeah,
roster,
yeah.
and
So
it's kind of like, do things sound the same? Yeah,
yeah,
your band came out swinging with jazz
yeah,
influences,
yeah,
avant-garde.
yeah,
Like I've listened to a ton of it
yeah,
now, and it's like you have all these influences where
yeah,
you're singing, grungy flavored
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
and
yeah.
sounding like a lot of you have a really,
Mixing in Stravinsky and Bach and all this other shit. People
yeah.
that, if you're a musician, you listen to it, you go, "Oh, that's cool." But a friend of mine, he gave us a good review of some magazine. He said, "I'm rarely in the mood to listen to Oxbow for pleasure." I was like, "That's a good way to put it." Even though this new record, I find myself listening to for pleasure, and it's I'm on it, but it's still I put it on a playlist with Scratch Acid and the Cows and Naked Ray Gun and Shellac, and I'm set. So
Okay.
yeah, Jesus Lizard, yeah.
Yeah. Are those your current influences or what you
They're not.
currently
They're
like
not.
to listen
They're
to?
not influences at this point
What
now.
you like to listen to?
Hmm. Well, let's see. I'll tell you what I was listening to this morning on the way here. I was listening to I was listening to Oxbow. That's what I was listening to on the way
I
here.
listen to my own band
Yeah,
too.
yeah. But before then, let's see what I was
Sometimes you
listening
need
to.
to.
The Little Drummer Boy by Johnny Mathis, 12 Days of Christmas, Bing Crosby, Proud Mary, Tina Turner, and In Dreams, Roy Orbison. So these are like the last 5 things I listened to. I'm a big Christmas music guy.
What movie is In Dreams by Roy Orbison featured
Yeah, of
in?
course, Blue Velvet. Yeah.
Do you love that movie?
I do, but it was because I listened to it because I started thinking about Dean Stockwell. Because I realized I didn't know how he had died. I knew he was dead. I didn't know how he died, so I looked up how he died, and I was like, oh, Frank's here.
How did
I
he
started doing.
die?
It was like a heart attack, and then he suffered, and then he just kind of limped along for 2 or 3 years later with declining health before he finally gave up the ghost. I mean, what they don't talk about is all these guys. Cocaine, the most dangerous recreational drug there is.
Right.
But people, there was a big swath of time where people didn't know it was bad for you. So
Right.
these guys who die at like 64 from natural causes, these are usually guys who are heavily abused.
Their heart
cocaine,
valves were damaged from all of the cocaine.
Yeah. So it's sad, but
Yeah.
I there's a classic line. Oh, Frank's here. It was just a great line. Great line.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What are some of your other? What is your like? What's your very favorite film?
The Servant,
Okay.
Joseph Lucy, in 1961, with Dirk Bogarde and Sarah Miles, written by the guy who wrote The Birthday Party,
Okay.
Harold Pinter, based on a Robin Mom novella. It's phenomenal.
Okay. So we're all going to go watch that
You
movie.
should don't read anything on it. Just watch it blindly, and it's gripping. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do? What do you want to do musically? What more? What more would be the thing for you? What would be your ultimate like? Or have you already achieved that?
I think I pretty much achieved it. Like Buñuel's got a record coming out in May on Skin Graft Records called Mansitude, and this is after the trilogy we did. The trilogy was A Resting Place for Strangers, and An Easy Way Out, and Killers Like Us, and so the fourth one will be this Mansitude. So between that and Oxbow and a bunch of other side projects, I've I'd like to sing with more women. Like we had me and Kristen Hayter on Love's Holiday. I still have a dream of. I mean, I've asked and she's declined. Diamanda would have been great.
Mm-hmm.
We were friends for a period of time. That would have been great. PJ Harvey would be great to sing with. Emma Ruth Rundell has asked me to sing with her, but then we just never put it together. So I'm liking vocal duets.
So how did the new band come about? Was there like a need for you to express yourself in a new direction, or was it
No,
just
Pier
different
Paolo
players?
Capovilla, the same guy who introduced me to Abel Ferrara, the director of Bad Lieutenant, which is
Okay.
pretty phenomenal. He had seen Oxbow play. His band, One Dimensional Man, had opened for Oxbow in Rome years ago, and then he actually became like some hotshot. He had a very popular band, Theater of Horror in Italian, Teatro dell'Oratorio, and he decided he wanted to start a noise band, but they couldn't find an Italian singer who could convince it. He goes, "Why don't we ask Eugene?" And so they asked me, and I agreed because I could hear. I always listen to that stuff that they antecedents like shellac, but the vocal delivery was always this kind of snark, this ironic distancing thing, which works really well for Albini. But I said, what if you did this shit with like a really direct angle of attack, just like not fucking around, just like I'm not gonna say I'm kind of joking but not joking, but just completely serious. And that's the itch that Buñuel scratched for me. It's fun. That and Oxbow, I think, have created a situation where I could die happy, where I think I'm musically said between those two, between Buñuel and Oxbow, I pretty much musically said anything that I want to say. So
That's great.
yeah. I mean, I'm still doing side projects. My stricture now for side projects is there going to be a video? And they're like, no, we're not going to. Then I'm not. I'm sorry, I can't help. I can't. Only if there's a video. And then even if there's a video, it has to be a situation where like I think I can help the song. If I can't help the song and it's just a marketing thing, it doesn't help you. It doesn't help me. It's like nobody's buying your record because Eugene from Oxbow is on it. So. And if they are, usually it's because they really miss Oxbow, and then it doesn't do your record any favor. So I'm doing fewer collaborations, but I always enjoy them when I do. I mean, as long as there's a budget.
Yeah.
I don't work for free.
Yeah. Who can really afford to work for free, especially living where we live in the Bay Area?
Yep.
You're in a different part than me, but it's just as expensive, if not more expensive here than the East Bay.
Well, my mom had the right idea. She said, get the best house in the worst neighborhood you can find.
Mm.
So that's what started me on my real estate journey.
Nice.
Best houses in worst neighborhoods. So
nice.
If you can get used to running gun battles in front of your house, you'll be fine.
And you are we're sitting in your business, right? Right now?
No, this is the Jiu-Jitsu Academy.
Okay.
So
you are a instructor.
Sometimes. I mean, it doesn't exist without me. I co-signed on the loans to get it open. So,
okay.
So yeah, I feel a sense of pride and ownership about it. And I usually. Yeah, there's another guy who handles a morning class, but when he's sick or out or traveling, whatever, then I'll do the morning class stuff. But I'm a black belt, and I've been doing this for 12 years with one coach, but maybe 25 years in total along in martial arts. I mean, I got a black belt in this, so I've done it, though it should be noted that Harley had his black belt first,
Yeah.
which we joke about.
Yeah, he's a hell of a guy.
Yeah.
I saw a video.
He won't roll with me though. I keep trying to get him to roll with me, and
I saw-
every time I go to New York, he's like busy or out.
Oh.
Like, okay, I'm gonna get you one of these days, wise guy. So,
Yeah, that would be good to see. He's huge, though. I mean, the size doesn't matter.
In jiu-jitsu, no, he's a strong guy and he's good. So
Yeah.
it should be fun. I mean, like he said it best. He goes, jiu-jitsu is what I do with my friends. So that's what we be rolling, and I don't have any pride about it. I mean, that's the best thing about being a black belt. I'm glad I can actually roll comfortably with another black belt without trying to murder him.
Mm-hmm. So what's your advice for a guy like me who was skinny wimp in high school and has no martial arts training whatsoever? Should I just try to be in the best shape that I can? If you find yourself an old guy who's not in great shape, I'm not in poor shape, but I'm not in, I could get winded going up 10 flights of stairs.
Yeah, I mean,
might be
it was weird. All the shit that I used to think was bullshit. When I went through my divorce and moved into some apartment, then I was like, fuck it, I don't want to drive. I was walking to work. It really made a difference. I used to think, would you go for a little walk? Walking is bullshit, just straight up bullshit.
Right.
But I was walking 10 blocks to work, and I was like getting in great shape, just walking.
All of a sudden you dropped a pant size.
Yeah, and just like, went for jiu-jitsu. I go, my jiu-jitsu is weirdly getting better. It was just walking, man. I wasn't walking fast either, just walking. So,
right.
Yeah, being physically fit is, there are all kinds of different stages, but you have to be a triathlete. Just walk.
Yeah. I mean, walking 8 miles, bunch of miles would be good.
Yeah. I mean, it won't feel like much, but it is.
I've done it every time I go to New York.
Yep. Yeah, of course. Of course.
Or go somewhere new most of the time. You're walking.
Yeah. So, I mean, but that's not, that's not self-defense, but.
Yeah.
I mean, most people don't need self-defense. I'm just a lunatic, right?
Well, I mean, it sounds like from what you talked about in your formative years that you do need self-defense.
I got a basis for it. Also, I'm a big mouth, so I like to be able to speak my piece.
Oh, well, we have that in common.
Yeah, and if people don't like it, usually it usually graduates to fisticuffs, and at least now I'm prepared.
Okay. Yeah, I just say things and then people lash out horribly.
Yeah.
And then I take it on the chin.
Yeah.
But
Booby had a great thing that I always remembered. He goes, people can say whatever they want to me. It's free. They should be able to. You fucking stupid people. Okay. But then he said, you put your hands on me, then I have to kill you. And I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I've always liked that.
That's real.
I've tried to, embody that in my own life. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like this kind of Buddhist, way of peace and acceptance and everything.
Yep.
But if you attack me, prepare to die. Because I am swiftly going to avenge any attack.
Yeah, we're not playing. So
it's not playing at that point, technically, whatsoever.
Yep.
So let's switch gears into politics, man.
Okay.
Where are you?
Neither one of us being a politician, but yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I am the punk rock president. On YouTube. That is the premise. I didn't tell you this. I just decided because I'm not good at politics that I'm the president.
Good.
So
good for you.
I just bypassed that whole thing.
Okay.
And just, so I'm the president. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. Okay. I mean, just your politics, like, wherever you fall. I mean, I'm like, whatever you want to talk about.
That's not a real question.
What are you? What can you tell me about your viewpoint, your politics?
Well, a simple but evasive answer to that question would be that I vote Democratic. I'm a registered Democrat, and that's guided my voting since I first started voting in 1980 when I voted for John Anderson. I was an independent, but I wasn't going to vote for Reagan, and I didn't think that Carter had a chance the second time around. And of course, was disappointed that Anderson did not win. But I'm in general anti the politics of control, but I also have spent time at Costco, and I am very much aware of who I'm sharing this country with.
Yeah.
And my desire to see those people not have a vote is strong.
Yeah.
So maybe call me a municipal socialist.
Okay. I like
I
that.
did a derivation of national socialist. I don't know. I mean, I just did a piece on my Substack this past week about what is it called, fascism, the ultimate high. And I think that unlike people always view fascism as something that's foisted on the people, I see 2023 America welcoming it with open arms. And I'm thinking, good for you. That's why I'm leaving. you know, good luck to you. I got to stay ahead. Like my friend Jamie Stewart said from Juju, I got to stay ahead of disaster this time. And he said that right after he moved to Berlin, sold everything, got out of America, and I'm planning to do the same at the end of next year. So
Is that right?
I'm moving to Spain. So
That sounds beautiful.
yeah, building a house there. Took my house in a low income neighborhood here, see how much I could get for it, and then went on like, international real estate sites. And so, how much could I get for my low income house, like Berlin, different places we played that I liked, and I like Spain the most of all. So for my low income house where they have good running gun battles in the street outside, what I get in Spain is 11,000 square feet and a house with a pool.
I could get by with that.
Yeah, you
I
could.
think you'll do fine.
I think I'll do fine. Living amongst the British and Dutch gangsters, I think I'll be fine. It's in Costa del Sol.
I want to say that the
know.
food is good in
It
Spain.
has been very good to me. So
It's enjoyable.
yeah, very nice stuff.
They have entertainment available.
Yep, good music. Valencia, San Sebastian music festivals. Played that Amplifest in Porto, Portugal. A lot of guys came over from Spain. They were super excited about me moving to Spain. Said, "Oh, we got to take you here. It is." And we played there a bunch. I did the Barcelona Poetry Festival once with Lydia Lunch and BB Hansen, Beck's mom, and just had a good history. And they rode through World War One, World War Two, Korea, Vietnam, all the Gulf Wars, and outside of Franco, and a small thing called the Spanish Civil War.
Right.
It's been a relatively peace-aligned country, So,
Yeah.
But
And you've got your European musical group already.
yeah. See, it looks like I planned it, but it wasn't really. But I'm glad to get out. So politically, yeah, I think America is doomed. So, but not in the way we were talking about today, like or last night on the show, one of the podcasts I do called "If the Shoes Fit." How people talk about the problems with America, but America is actually really adept at absorbing its immigrants in ways that if you're in Germany and you're 8, 10 generations in Germany, you're still not German. If your if 200 years ago your people came from somewhere else to German minds, you are not German. And it's the same with France or anything else. We've done a great job of even people who are first generation, whose parents were born in another country, are fully feel, I mean, we've integrated them into the American body politic. But I just, I don't think things will be normal in America until Trump dies. And keep in mind, as a New Yorker, I've been exposed to him for way longer than the rest of America, and it's a fever in the minds of America. So, but I'm also disappointed with the left. The Democratic Party I started voting for is very different from the Democratic Party that exists now. So
I'm hearing that.
yeah, and I mean, like, I'll give you an example. I voted for Obama both times.
Yeah.
But when I look at his post-presidential career, I'm much less impressed with his post-presidential career than I was with Carter's, who's made a life of service, with his home Habitat for Humanity, and Obama was like on a video show with Bruce Springsteen.
Right.
But that's
What
it.
is he doing?
Bro, hey man, there's some of us who are still in the fucking shit. Help out, could you
Right.
please?
The trenches are out there.
Yeah,
Jump in them.
yeah. But
more digging to do.
But given the schools I've gone to, I've met a lot of these guys, right? I mean, the whole Harvard, East Coast, Ivy League establishment, and I'm distressed that they did some version of taking the short end money and left the rest of us hanging. So Don't like that. So
Yeah.
that's the most coherent political statement I can think of.
No, it's really good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I ask a lot of people the same, basically, what are your politics? The same question, and I don't get nearly as verbose of a response.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, good.
That's really good.
Yeah.
What if anything would you change? How could America change that would make you more interested in staying, if anything?
You have to. What I thought should have been done a long time ago. And I think there was a legal precedent for doing this. I think that you have to. Well, it's too late. It's the monster has been created, but this alternative media systematic denial of the reality of experience thing via Fox. I mean, the guys I know who are MAGA world guys, and there are plenty who work out here. At this point, they read nothing except for Reddit. That's where they get their news from Reddit. Which, like I said, is like running into Costco, or Walmart, and asking somebody, "What do you think about Gaza?" And whatever they say, that becomes your holy writ. I mean, this is not news, I mean, I'm old enough to remember Walter Cronkite, and when there was some authority with the news gathering, and maybe it never really existed that there was any sort of objectivity because it was always owned by wealthy guys, but at least they honored the tradition of it, a Hearst-inspired tradition. So I think that to somehow hold, in a fiduciary sense, hold Fox and all that right-wing agitprop responsible for staying shit would have been a step in the right direction. Because, you're impinging on the free press. I go, no, nothing is free. You got responsibilities. If you were telling, I mean, this is what's happening now. If you are knowingly engaged in the telling of lies, then you need to be responsible for that.
And held responsible
for it. So I would have slapped, but how do you
There's been a little bit of that. I mean, you look at the Rush thing.
Right. And also Alex Jones and, look.
Real slaps.
Yeah.
Real life monetary.
Yeah. Real judgments, which they haven't paid at all. But
right.
The reality of it is, I mean, that, with this mindset, it's like suspicious old people. Like, you ever read David Sedaris, who I'm not a super big fan of, talks about his shitty relationship with his father, but toward the end of his father's life, he had to be placed in hospice. And he's like, you notice after a couple of weeks of his father being in hospice, they were actually getting along for the first time in years. And what was the difference? There was no TV at the hospice. So he went 2 weeks without Fox, and their relationship improved. 2 weeks. You can't, you've said, I mean, that mindset is just so base root, paranoid, and contrarian that you could say, oh my God, it's Wednesday. And they'd go, it's not Wednesday. I met some woman, an older woman. And I said, didn't Rush, she had all these Rush stickers on her car. Didn't he just get out of prison? She goes, no. So no, I saw a picture of him getting out of prison. She goes, you can't believe what you say. You can't negotiate with this.
I mean, I feel like people wear blinders and they can only see what they're looking directly at, and they're only going to look directly at what they want to believe.
Yeah.
But in a sense, aren't we all wearing blinders?
I don't know. Look, listen, man. In 1944, the unemployment rate in America was 1.2. This America that everybody wants to make great again, get us back to 1944. The war was not even over. Post-war, they transitioned to, post-war economy. Scale was built. People had prosperity like we had never had before. You think, yeah, that's not like it is now. Really? In 2023, unemployment rate was like 3.9. That's not too far above 1.2, man. And still, we have this kind of Fox News driven narrative that things are terrible, everything sucks. And if you read you read Google News, Apple News, you go through the whether it's National Review or Wall Street Journal, the prevailing drumbeat is the collapse of society. You guys are willing this to happen. Well, good luck to you. And you know something else I discovered? I did a big piece on a prepper. The guy's in Montana, on the border between like Montana and Idaho, close to Canada, waterways to Canada so he can escape. He's told me about his neighbors. And I said, who? Oh, he's a guy from Occidental Oil. He's got a helipad here. He's got a Vietnam-era helicopter, which is not supposed to be flight-worthy. Oh, look, yeah, Carl, you showed this on camera. Pull up the end so they can see it says old man. Yeah.
Old man jiu-jitsu.
So there you go.
You know who this guy?
Yeah, he looks a little familiar.
John Shaft.
Sit down for a second.
Yeah.
You seem really fit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's because he helps me to train.
Yeah.
Now,
He's the guy who makes
is there
me
any
fit.
is there any chance for me
Yeah,
as an old man?
for sure.
What do I have to do?
He's younger than me.
Show up 7 a.m. every day.
7 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
Okay, go fuck yourself. All
Yeah.
right. Now we know where I stand.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. You want to do the work? Yeah. Okay. No.
Not that much. Not that much.
That's a
work.
beautiful shirt.
Yeah. I
That
don't get
is
any royalties
amazing.
for it.
No?
Where's my money for that shirt? Yeah.
That's
I've been
amazing.
asking him. So yeah.
Yeah. I feel like you're very loved here. You get a lot of love.
Wait till we start rolling.
What is that? Jiu-jitsu love is like, well, maybe.
Well,
maybe
you know what?
You throw me down, but you won't break my glasses.
No, I tell you what,
is that what it is?
Truthfully, is I get paranoid here because I'm an older guy.
Yeah.
People going too easy on me.
Okay.
Because I'm an older guy.
Okay.
So I'll torment them before we roll together, like really badly. Like I'll go
To stir it up.
I'm hearing some good things about your jiu-jitsu. And the guy goes, really? I go, no. Your jiu-jitsu fucking sucks. And so
Okay.
when the bell rings, they really, and I can hold it together. And then when I leave here, I'll sit in the car like, why do I do this? Why?
Right.
But whatever.
So we know we're alive.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it would be weaponized, and during the Republican administration, they would. But that already happens anyway. New York Times, the gray lady, in the run up to the Gulf Wars, played along like I never thought they would, and like they never should have. It was shameful, So whatever, I'm leaving. Good luck to you. So
We're gonna need it.
yep.
Um,
And I guarantee you, it's like a fever will break the second Trump dies or is no longer. These systems aren't meant for. We haven't had a fascist government in Italy since Mussolini, really, right? I mean, even though Meloni is close, but it's like once the fever breaks, people, and it's not like it's been outlawed like in Germany, people were like, "What the fuck were we thinking?" And I think that'll happen with Trump. So.
it seems like there's always a new bad actor.
Yeah, but the party has been progressively doing this anti-intellectual appeal to nativism and stupidity for a long time. And who was the first one? HW, who's a really bright, conniving guy himself. But what the fuck was he thinking with Quayle? Quayle was stupid and harmless. So was Sarah Palin. But there starts to be a drumbeat in American politics that has directly led to all these guys who are shocked and surprised about Trump, who are Republicans. It's like, you guys created this. You created it, and so that's what kind of amuses me in a very sad way. It's like, Trump is not lying to me because I don't believe him. He's lying to the people who love him. All that shit he says, he's not going to do any of that stuff. But, I already know he's not going to do it. The people who follow him will be sadly disappointed, and they'll follow whatever line of excuse he develops coming out of for why he didn't do it, it's the vermin inside our country, the radical left. Okay, I'm leaving, So buy guns, good luck to you.
I mean, there's also nothing wrong with moving to Spain.
No.
I don't think anybody would say that there's anything wrong with that idea.
I got kids. I'd like to see them grow up to be.
They're going to have a fantastic life there.
Yeah. Well, most of my kids are in their 20s. So
right.
I built the house big enough so that they could come and live comfortably there. And I'm hoping some of them will do.
You have a couple of younger kids? Or
I have one who's 3.
Yeah.
And the others are in their 20s. So
that's great.
Yeah. All daughters.
All daughters.
I love these kids. Yeah, they're great.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yep.
And you'll be able to have a young child in Spain.
Yep.
Right, growing up.
Yep. And she's already bilingual as it is. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. She's bilingual with a language. It's not Spanish, but I think she'll pick up Spanish very easily.
So then she'll be trilingual.
Yeah, exactly.
In the short order.
Yeah, very fast. Better than I will. So.
Yeah.
Well.
Get them while you're young. I wish I had even learned Spanish.
Yeah.
I didn't make that a priority.
In California, it should be easy.
Yeah. I see that now.
Yeah. My stepfather was fluent in Spanish, and shamefully enough, didn't teach me much besides "Vámonos, muchachos." So, okay, I got that. Ayúdame, I got that.
So what do you have? Is Oxbow going to continue as a band? Do you feel
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
likely?
yeah. I don't know anybody who's in a band at this point who all live in the same place. Neurosis, before their recent difficulties, those guys all live in far flung places,
Mm-hmm.
and same with,
Still a band.
yeah, yeah, same with Sumac and what ISIS. So you just have to work differently. I mean, on the Love's Holiday song, there are 9 songs on Love's Holiday, 10 with a little extra, but we recorded like 21. So we've already recorded the next record full of stuff, and we're gonna do videos for all of them as well. And it's easy to get back to California. Nico, the guitar player, his wife is French, so he's also planning to move as well to France because she's had it with California, with America as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I feel like people who are planning to stay here have had it.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you've been here a long time too.
I've been here the whole time.
There's been a big difference between here in Northern California in 1980, 85, 90, and now. Jesus, and all these fucking tech people. San Francisco is finished. It's destroyed. You destroyed it. You destroyed it.
I was working, knocking on doors at
Yep.
Acorn Village
Mhm.
in West Oakland, trying
Yep.
to get out the vote in 1984
Yep.
as a paid canvasser,
Yep.
and probably came really close to being robbed or whatever.
Yep.
I thought it was ludicrous. They sent me out with some skinny girl,
Mhm.
and I'm a skinny little dude,
Yep.
and they send us out to the projects to door knock for
Yeah, people who have very existential concerns.
yeah, and
Fuck
Reagan
about
won
your voice.
anyway.
Yeah. Well, you did the good thing, so whatever.
They were paying me. I needed a job.
Yeah, that's a job.
I needed to buy beer.
But the thing is, the guys in Porch, they had some side project that I went to see, and there were like 8 people there, and I was like, well, whatever, you got to start out somewhere. And then as we left, it was a club. It was down off of Cesar Chavez. The bar outside the club was packed. And I was like, oh, shoot, how come these people didn't come back there? I said no. And as I walked through the crowd, it sounded like I was at a staff meeting. Everybody was talking about monetizing this and ROIs on that. And I was like, Jesus Christ, you guys are fucking zombies. You're not at work, and you're at work. They got you. They own your ass. So who knows? I mean, the artist colony that San Francisco was as we knew it in the 80s, squandered their ticket, man. Just, maybe it was drugs, maybe I don't know what it was, but. And then they complained about gentrification. It's like, you lived here for 20 years. You had chances to change the outcome here. You did nothing. So it's on you. So everybody I know who was like an artist was like, fuck this. And they moved to LA. Like Michael Manning, who does the Spider Garden stuff. And just, because success in LA is episodic. So you can still get cheap housing. You get a warehouse space for $600 a month.
Yeah.
Not here.
Not even in LA, I don't think anymore.
Depends. It's so episodic.
You have to
Success is so
yeah.
episodic that you can I have those people I know who start East Side Rehearsal. They move from Oakland and they start, Meg and Tony from Totomoshi. And it seems to be a thriving rehearsal spot.
Yeah.
So
do you drink?
It's funny. I did when the Fight book came out. The first show was a gallery in San Francisco, and I did it with Vale from Research. And the gallery owner said, "Can I get you anything?" I said, "Yeah, could you get me a glass of red wine?" Vale looks at me and goes, "I thought you were straight edge." I was like, "Vale, 47 fucking years old. If I want a glass of wine with my hors d'oeuvres, I will have a glass of wine with my." He goes, "Well, Biafra is still straight edge." I said, "I don't give a fuck what Biafra does. Having a glass of wine doesn't make you an alcoholic. I don't feel any need at 47 to play strictures on myself from some shit that Ian Mackay said in 1980. Glass of wine."
Even though you loved it, that doesn't carry through one's entire life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I stopped drinking when I was 17 and didn't drink again until I was 36. I stopped drinking when I was 17 because I was bodybuilding, and alcohol breaks down into simple sugars, and I was an asshole. More of an asshole when I was drinking, so I stopped. And then when I was 36, I was in Lyon, France. I remember it very clearly, and it was part of my meal. They go, "Do you want something to drink? I've got red wine." I don't drink, and they're like, I was like, you know what? I'm probably okay to have a glass of wine with dinner. It's civilized. And I did it, and I was like, I wasn't an asshole, didn't drink. I'm not an alcoholic. I have an obsessive personality, not an addictive one. fine.
So you broke edge.
I broke edge.
Were you ever?
But
you were edge though.
Well, no, because I was taking a lot of acid back then, but I was always like a physical fitness guy. So I'd be taking acid on Fridays.
So acid edge.
Yeah, I'd be in the gym on Monday working out. So. But yeah, everybody thought I was straight edge because I was physically fit. So when they went off to do their drugs, they were like, I was like the dad influence. They wouldn't tell me, and they'd hide stuff from me and sneak off and do.
Thinking you didn't know.
Yeah, thinking I didn't know, but it was like I knew, I just didn't care,
Yeah.
So
you weren't going to do that.
But I mean, when was the last time I had a drink?
Yeah. No, I mean,
at this point now,
it doesn't matter.
I drink like once a year. I don't know, not that often.
Oh, no, but I love that part about the straight edge and because I related to that even at the time.
Yep.
I was not when all that was happening. I related really hard and I appreciated it, and I thought that is the coolest thing to go against the party lifestyle, the drunk punk thing.
Except the whole thing with no fucking. I like in my memoir I talk about I'm
going without sex.
The Ian thing. I go that kind of fucked me up, bro. I'm gonna get a 19-year-old man to walk by that, but I did. So I probably don't regret it. I didn't know what I was doing anyway. So, but yeah.
So you feel like that? Do you feel like that?
There was a weird
helped you in your life?
There was a weird sexlessness in the hardcore scene that wasn't really there in the punk rock scene. Like punk rockers thought sex was boring, but they still did it.
Right.
Hardcore kids were like, and it made sense because a lot of them came from sexually abusive backgrounds. It was just a non-factor. Like no.
But wasn't it about wanting to have meaningful relationships, wanting to have long-term relationships?
Yeah, whatever. But that's how Ian framed it. I guess I don't.
That's how it was framed.
I don't know.
That's not what you saw.
Nah, I could have gotten laid a lot more. I would have been happier to get laid a lot more. Is what I'm saying. But I've told my wife that she mock me. She goes, "You got laid plenty. Your standard is unreasonable." I mean, get out. I was suffering. She goes, suffering. Stop it. But whatever. That was then. This is now.
Wow.
Yeah.
We've all suffered so much.
Yeah. There you go.
I have too.
Yeah.
I'm getting all misty-eyed.
Yeah.
Thinking about all that suffering.
Yeah.
No, I mean.
But look, it's good for a lot of people to have. If people who grew up without boundaries, to have boundaries, they might find to be very helpful. So,
I put out a record from a band, and at one point, the singer of that band told me about their song "Cruise Control," and explained to me that that it was part of the straight edge thing. That there was just cruise control.
Yeah. I kind of like the side of that, but whatever. I mean, again, like I said,
I think it turned out he was just gay.
Yeah, of course.
But then, and then that's,
And that was a lot of stuff that people were figuring out too. Like some of the toughest guys in the DC scene. I remember when I was there. It turns out, I was talking to somebody who was from DC. Hey, whatever happened to Jay? They go, oh, Jay came out of the closet. I was like, of course, but whatever,
Right, whatever.
Nobody gives a shit. Just,
everybody. But then at the same time, you're like, he's gay, of course.
Yeah.
Why didn't I know?
Yeah, no, I mean,
Or you knew.
Yeah, you kind of, he's fighting a gay man inside. That's why he was such a tough guy outside.
Interview people, and sometimes I think I know, and I was interviewing a straight man who told me, and this guy, married, kids, still all together, taking his kids to school and the whole bit, parent, show and responsible. He's like, yeah, I'm gay.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, okay.
And his wife was.
I don't know how they work it out.
Yeah.
It's none of my business. I didn't ask, but I don't assume.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in a gay band.
Yeah. What's the band?
The Middle-Aged Queers.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Of course, I've heard of you guys. Yeah.
Well, we're pretty new.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've heard the name. So, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun.
That's what one of my kids said to me the other day. He said, you and Mom were actually good parents in the sense of you weren't really rigid about anything. Bedtimes and stuff like that, but progressive. And I go, yeah, why not? Everybody, if they're honest about it, has gay folks in their family. This is not foreign to us by any stretch of the imagination. This right-wing idea that this is like suddenly now we're awash in homosexuality. Get the fuck out. It's awash. It's been the reality of our lives forever. My godfather was gay. He was with David and Dickie. What do you think they were roommates for whatever? Who cares? I do not care at all. I mean, this is a new attitude. I mean, as a 17-year-old, when I was being hit on the subway and followed by dudes, I wasn't that into it, but I never understood it to be a categorical problem, like all gay guys fucking trying to fuck me, whatever, you know.
I mean, there was always a bit of that in the scene in the Bay Area.
Yeah,
when I was a kid.
Yeah, of course, there were some, you know.
I mean, they'd try or whatever, but you're like, hey, no.
But this is
that's when I should have learned how to fight.
Yeah, but this is different. You know, if it's a peer, it's different than if there was some of these older cats who had gotten into punk rock, you know, were like 24-year-olds hanging out with 16-year-olds, and they were fucking predatory. These guys.
That would be predatory.
Yeah, whatever, you know.
I've heard when the RNC comes to Washington that they have to bring in extra trans sex workers.
Yeah, of course.
Because there's a big shortage.
There's a woman, Samantha 38G, who I interviewed. She's a porn star. And during the interview, it was revealed to me that she was a Republican. And I was like, how do you jive that? Republicans are great for business. And I go, as clients? She goes, oh, even then, restriction and you know, restriction, the temptation, this is always good for business. Well, she's from Florida, so, you know. All bets are off in terms of what if you're from Florida. It's saying to me I'm crazy. So, but yeah, I was shocked. I mean, especially given that all this Republican legislation against porn, but she thought they were good for business.
I mean, don't they love it?
Of course they do. But you know, the thing is, if you're a Democrat and you're gay, you're just gay. You know, if you're a Republican and you're gay, there are all these lies like I got a wide stance. I don't know who that man was in my room. You know?
Right. Your wife is front and center.
Yeah, come on.
She's at every press conference standing behind you.
Stop it with this,
Yeah. Well, do you have any, is there anything you want me to ask you?
No.
Pretty much we've covered a lot of ground.
How good is Lucas? Well, Lucas has learned everything he knows from me. But he's working on a Berimbolo now, a De La Hiva. These little guy moves that don't work on big guys. But
we're watching your
yes.
We're watching your coworkers or your students or
no, these are just teammates.
They're rolling on the mat.
She's number one in the world.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
The woman is the number one in the world. So she could murder
the guy talking here.
No, the woman there.
Oh,
she could murder you.
She's number one Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the world.
In the world. She can murder you. Like you could go over, start swinging with all your might. She's going to beat you 99 times out of 99 times.
A 12-year-old student of yours could murder me.
You're exactly right. Yeah.
My experience with fighting
would
be like
she would do it very gently. So
I wouldn't feel it.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't mind. Next thing you know, you're dizzy and then it's over. So.
That's something I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
You have this nom de plume, or what is it? Just your social media name, Mr. Sleep.
Oh yeah.
And I made up in my mind that it's because you would do some move to make people just pass out.
Oh, it's when I used to be a dom.
Okay, so we missed something.
You missed a lot, but that's on you.
I didn't do my research, maybe.
Yeah.
So you were a dom.
Yeah. Well, it started out that I was being hired by doms to teach them things like chokes and restraints.
Okay.
And then I was like, how much you making from this? And they would pay me $80 to come in and do like an hour seminar or something. And they were like, well, I get like $300 an hour. I go, what? And it was not only that, my laptop, one of my slaves gave it to me. All my yard work, my slave comes by and does it all. I go, how do I get on this gravy train? You'd be surprised. Hang out a shingle, see. So I did, and I said, what name am I going to use? I used Mr. Sleep, and then I used a line from Danzig as my advertising line, and it was like from Sam Hain, actually. 1,000 angers have kept me alive. Okay. And I said, so if you're ready for this experience, $300 an hour, and you will get the most savage beating you've ever gotten.
And you did that for work for a while.
Yeah, I did it for a while. Yeah, and I think I then segued into doing skullgame.com, which was like kind of a porn Yelp, funded by the guys at GameLink in San Francisco, where Mike Voss, who used to sing for Los Overdados, was the vice president and had them hire me. So we started this blog called skullgame.com, which was short for Mac Avenue Skull Game, which in a weird way I had to go to Barry Hensler from the Necros, and his band Big Chief had that as a record title. I said, hey, I want to use it for my business. Do you care? He goes, I don't give a shit. I was like, all right. So Mac Avenue Skull Game was born, and that's kind of, I went from being a dom just into being, porn world executive, which was amusing for about 12 years. So.
And that paid okay. You make money.
$4,000 a month initially.
Mm-hmm.
And
initially.
For the first 4 years, and then GameLink offloaded it and sold it to me because we had started to do like before the onion type stuff, and for some reason Arnold had become a big target. I just like making fun of him, and he says this guy's going to end up governor of this state. I'm going to get in trouble, so we stop it, or look. How about I just sell you the business? And I go, how much? And he goes, your last paycheck. And I go, great, $4,000, I'll take it. So took the business, and of course he was right. Arnold ended up being governor, but he had bigger fish to fry than to chase porn comedy sites, which is kind of what we were. So yeah, it's still up. I've firewalled it, so you can't really find it very easily, just because it was so fun to do. But we stopped,
and it's called
skullgame.com.
Yeah,
but you can't. It doesn't exist anymore in a usable way. But I still own the URL. It was fun to do. I mean, the thing is, the comedy was fun. I had the life cycle of a porn reviewer. I go, hey, you want to review some porn? Everybody's like, yeah. I go, okay, I'll be at your house at noon. Be there, and I'll give you some stuff to review. And they're like, all right. And I'd show up with about 20 of them, and they'd be like,
what's this?
And then pretty soon, but when a guy would get 2 or 3 deep, and he'd be like, how do I get out of this? It's dreary, man. I interviewed with Larry Flint for a job at editor-in-chief of Hustler Erotic Video Guide, and I asked the guy who was leaving the job, why are you leaving? He goes, are you kidding? Look at this place. And I was like, yeah, man, it's dreary. Porn as a business versus porn as a consumer. Shit. Most people are watching porn for 30 seconds, 3 minutes at a time.
Right.
To actually have to review 20 videos is torture. But there you go.
So what is the other low-hanging fruit? What did I not ask you?
Well, recently somebody asked Biafra. I said, "Hey, why don't you have Eugene on your podcast?" And Biafra goes, I can't. He's a member of the NRA."
Okay.
Which is terribly, terribly misinformed, since I was one of the first ones to understand explicitly that the NRA was a racist organization. But I
believe that's correct.
Yeah, but I also did have a federal firearms license and used to buy and sell guns, but I don't think these are the same thing at all. But of course, the fact that the man never picked up the phone to check with me, I think speaks a lot to his character. Like, you don't see me publicly talking about the hookers. I guess I did.
There's always a balance.
Yeah.
A tit for tat.
Yeah.
In the cultural.
Well, I'm to the point. I'm to the point now. Like, what he's not going to be my friend.
This little Easter egg buried in a 40-minute video, and no one's going to ever pay attention.
Right.
No one's going to ever say anything.
Yeah. Well, whatever. He's welcome to say. He's welcome to say it.
A lot of people have done a lot of things.
Just like I've said that, that I'm not a member of the NRA. So.
Well, seeing as you're not a member of the NRA, it might also be possible to have a little bit of cognitive dissonance and know how to operate a firearm, and that would not be a bad thing in the world.
No, I think any person of minority status or standing who does not own one or several firearms is making a big mistake. And that includes trans people, LGBTQ plus people. If you have something to fear from the dominant paradigm, in my mind, you should be owning guns instead of depending on the kindness of the system.
The kindness of the system that was built to kill you.
Well, listen, also, the reality of it is guns don't help. The weapons they have out there, look up non-lethal weapons online.
Right.
The guns are pointless at this point. However, they're a stopgap measure, and I don't mind having them.
Yeah.
So,
in the event of complete anarchy,
yeah,
which every every punker's dream.
Yep.
But then you look at
Well,
every punker is going to pretty
well,
much die quickly under total
well,
anarchy.
look, Poland had a lot of guns.
Yes, they did.
Had a lot of guns
And
in
they were
1940. Still, yeah. So against governmental powers, your gun means nothing. But that's not why we get them. So
It didn't help Anne Frank at all.
yeah, it did not. So, but again, we're talking about being able to write your own ticket for as long as you can. But whatever. I understand people not liking them.
Is it important to have the status of being on some singer of some old punk rock guy's podcast?
No, I didn't. It made me laugh because it was so like there's not any given day that I would rather be him than me, right?
Right.
I mean, these guys are stuck in this terrible time warp of past successes. What was that great weathered statues? The great line from the TSOL song, surviving on old glories when those old glories are gone.
I'm very familiar with that.
Yeah, it's a great song. There's some people who I don't hold it against. Like I feel really good about. I'm really looking forward to the new record by Fear.
Yeah.
Because I think that they have maintained a consistency of vision, and it's not like I don't feel like I'm watching a cover band.
Yeah, I've seen Fear a couple of times.
Yep.
Recently.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. Very good band.
Always good players, and sad the Durf is dead, but whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a certain burden that being. I mean, some people have. Ian MacKaye has aged well. Like his band with his wife, the Evens. It's actually a great band. I like that. He's moved the goalpost.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other people from the olden days. There are very few. That have done anything that's musically kind of continued to be of interest to me.
Until you listened to my band, and then you were just enthralled.
I haven't listened to your band.
No,
I need to now.
Maybe you will.
Yeah.
Not trying to make it about me again.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
What is your favorite? Is there a song? Is there like an old punk song that makes you just misty? Since I brought that up, I like that term, misty.
Yep.
Some old punk song that stirs your emotion.
Well, We Will Not.
We Will Not.
Yep.
By
Bad Brains.
By Bad Brains.
Becomes my personal credo in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
We will not do what they want to do what they say. Oh no.
Yeah.
So, great song.
Yeah.
And of course, my theory is that Rage Against the Machine should be writing big giant checks to the Bad Brains because they've lifted so much of, they're big fans. So maybe
the influence.
Yeah, the influence. Yeah. But you could also have helped out. But so many people have tried to help out Bad Brains over the years, and it hasn't really worked out. So it's again self-sabotage in weird ways. I mean, they actually went on tour with Madonna.
Yeah.
If people forget this, and which quickly ended when HR punched somebody in the face and called them a faggot. It's like, come on. But of course, now he's been diagnosed as bipolar, so it sort of makes sense. But
yeah. I feel like anybody who's come out of the scene, the punk scene, who's relatively healthy, relatively sane, has really dodged a bullet. Considering, especially now, the popular drugs that people did in the punk scene are designed to physically make you insane after a short amount of use.
Well, yeah, fentanyl is terrible, but the drug cartels have actually finally started to deal with it. With I've understood, like the Mexican cartels have like contacted the Chinese counterparts and like cut the shit out. Cut! You were killing our customers. Stop it. Stop with the fentanyl.
The P2P meth, which is a shortcut of creating the drug methamphetamine, and how that makes people immediately bipolar and borderline personality after a short amount of use, and they're twitching, and you see it in the street. All of that.
Well, in my mind, it's a secondarily symptomatic of other problems, but whatever.
Yeah. Amazing talk.
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you want a hug?
Yeah, man.
That's great.
For the camera.
All right, Eugene. I really appreciate you taking the time to.
When you're going to send me a link or something?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. All right.
And I'm going to ask people to like my channel and subscribe.
Okay. Yeah.
Because YouTube is a thing.
Yeah, that's where my podcast is. No, actually, my podcast is there. It's live. It's free while it's live.
Yeah.
And then within the hour after I finish it, it goes to Substack where you can get 20 minutes of it for free. And then after that,
And
you
what's
have
it
to
called?
give
We
it's
got to
called,
plug it.
Look What You Made Me Do.
Look What You Made Me Do.
Well, Look What You Made Me Do actually is my Substack for
Yeah.
my writing. For the show, it's a Eugene Robinson show stomper. So
You're easy to find
easy to
online,
find.
Eugene Robinson.
Yeah.
Many bands, many lives.
Too many.
Soon,
Old man.
soon a new life.
Yeah, man.
You don't look old to me.
Yeah. Well, it's you make a deal with the devil. It's
That's
joke.
the secret.
Joke. Yeah.
That's
good.
fantastic.
It's good, clean living.
Yeah, that's right. Good clean living.